Okay, hello all. Now we will discuss the concept called judicial activism. Okay, so before moving into this concept, I would like to discuss a few things about the judicial review. As as we know, judicial review or examining the laws or enactments made by the legislature or orders issued by the executive are examined based on the principle of procedure established by the law. And of course, you do know that the powers of the judicial review is narrower than the powers of the judicial review of United States of America, because US judiciary follows due process of law and Indian judiciary follows procedure established by the law to conduct judicial review. However, in Maneka Gandhi case, the Supreme Court introduced the concept called due process of law into India's judicial landscape. Since then, the judicial review, the power of judicial review has become more wider. Okay, and this enabled the judiciary to examine the reasonability of the law. Okay, right? So initially, the judiciary didn't have the power to question the reasonability of law. Okay, but after Maneka Gandhi case, the judiciary has acquired the power in the form of due process of law to question the reasonability of the law. Am I making sense? Am I clear? Right. Very good. And this judicial activism is the outcome of due process of law. Okay. See, judicial activism is nothing but the proactive role of the judiciary. The proactive role of the judiciary in giving judgments as well as looking at the social issues and questioning the reasonability of laws, and also entering into the domain of executive and legislature when they are failed to perform their duties. So all these aspects come under judicial activism. And of course, this phrase judicial activism hasn't been mentioned in any part of the constitution. And this judicial activism is an intervention of the Indian judiciary. Okay, and it was introduced in India during the period of mid 1970s. Okay, and basically the concept of judicial activism originated and developed in the USA, and in India the doctrine of judicial activism was introduced in mid 1970s. Okay, then what is the meaning of judicial activism? As I said, judicial activism denotes the proactive role played by the judiciary in the protection of the rights of the citizens and in the promotion of justice in the society, right? In other words, it implies the assertive role played by the judiciary to force the other two organs of the government to discharge their constitutional duties. That means, by using the principle of judicial activism or by using the concept of judicial activism, the judiciary steps out from its jurisdiction. Please make it clear. Judicial activism means judiciary steps out from its jurisdiction. And of course, it is against the concept of separation of powers. But however, it will be good when judiciary performs this action with a good intention, right? So judiciary steps out from its jurisdiction to provide complete justice, okay, to enable the legislature and executive when they failed to perform their duties. Okay, therefore, judicial activism, the concept of judicial activism has enhanced or strengthened the role of judiciary in Indian political landscape. Am I clear, students? Yes. In simple words, judicial activism means when judges interrupt their own personal feelings into a conviction or sentence instead of upholding the existing laws. Meaning, What is the meaning of instead of upholding the existing laws? That means while delivering the judgments or while resolving the disputes, the judiciary thinks beyond the existing laws. Beyond the existing laws means it considers the changes in the society, and also it considers the needs of the society. Okay, it steps out from its jurisdiction. It is like out of box thinking, right? Okay, and judicial activism is also known as judicial dynamism. Why it is called judicial dynamism? By using the concept of judicial activism, the judiciary considers the changes in the society. Okay, that means it entertains the newness in the society. Okay, that's why judicial activism is also known as judicial dynamism, right? Then the judicial activism can be good if the intentions of the court is to protect and preserve the rights of the citizen and not merely criticize the government. Yes, okay, clear? Right. Now, what are the methods? What are the methods for judicial activism? How the judiciary play the role of proactiveness? Are there any provisions in the Indian Constitution which indirectly makes the judiciary active? Okay, those provisions are judicial review, right? As I said earlier, by inserting due process of law in judicial review, the judiciary has become more active, right? It has been questioning the reasonability of laws, and the judiciary also looking at the implications of the laws. So in this way, by using judicial review, the judicial activism is operationalized in India, right? And the next one is through PIL, public interest litigation, right? Through public interest litigation, the Supreme Court has been becoming more active, right? That means what is the main objective of a PIL? See, basically, if you look at the traditional way of approaching the court for resolving the disputes, only aggrieved person or the affected person should move to the court. Only the aggrieved person. On behalf of the aggrieved person, no one is allowed to appeal in the court. This was the traditional practice, the previous practice. However, after the introduction of the PIL, any person or any responsible citizen can file an appeal in the court on behalf of the aggrieved person or an aggrieved section of the society or affected section of the society. So this is the main object of the PIL. So in this way, the judiciary has been changing the process of appeal, and it has been empowering the citizens to access the justice. Okay, right. And the third method is through constitutional interpretation, right? We already know that Constitution, the final interpreter of the Constitution is Supreme Court, right? And Supreme Court is empowered to interpret the real spirit of the Constitution. Okay, so in this way, by following these methods, the judicial activism is practiced in India, right? And also access of international statute for ensuring constitutional rights and supervisory power of the higher courts on the lower courts. Okay, by applying these methods, the judicial activism is practiced in India. Now, I would like to justify the judicial activism. These are all the justifications of judicial activism. So there is a near collapse of the responsible government when the legislature and executive fail to discharge their respective functions? Yes or no? When the legislature and executive fail to discharge their functions, then definitely the responsible government will be in crisis, right? So this results in erosion of the confidence in the constitution and democracy amongst the citizens. Okay, in order to contain or in order to restrain such type of situations, judicial activism comes into picture. So the judiciary steps in and provides aid for the suffering masses, because when government or when the two organs like legislature and executive functions inefficiently, then the people will suffer. So the only solution for the masses is judiciary. Okay, so by applying this judicial activism, principle of judicial activism, the judiciary ensures the balance of the government and ensures that legislature and executive performs its functions, right? See, for example, as we know that a couple of years back, the Supreme Court has appointed a committee to look after the pollution levels in New Delhi, right? Actually, it is not the duty of the judiciary to perform the executive functions. However, the executive in Delhi failed to control or contain the pollution levels in Delhi. Therefore, by the method of judicial activism, by the concept of judicial activism, Supreme Court has played a proactive role in establishing a committee with respect to monitoring the pollution levels in Delhi High Court. So, pollution levels in Delhi. So, this is the best example to showcase the proactiveness of the judiciary, right? And also judicial enthusiasm, that is, the judges like to participate in the social reforms and takes place in the changing times. It encourages the public interest litigation, as I discussed, and legislative vacuum, that is, there may be certain areas which have not been legislated upon. It is therefore upon court to indulge in judicial legislation and to meet the changing social needs. I already told you. Okay, sometimes legislature cannot provide laws for every need of the society. Okay, then there will be vacuum in that case. So that vacuum is filled by the proactive role of judiciary. So what I am trying to say is all these factors which we have discussed right now justifies the judicial activism. Okay, and also famous political analyst Subhash Kashyap of India observes that judiciary may have to overstep its normal jurisdiction and intervene in areas falling within the domain of the legislature and executive. So according to his view, sometimes it is necessary for the judiciary to step into the domain of legislature and executive, okay, to perform certain functions if they failed to do so. Okay, right. And according to him, where the legislature and the executive fail to protect the basic rights of the citizens, like the right to live a decent life and healthy surroundings, or to provide honest, efficient and just system of laws and administration, the courts can perform the proactive role. Okay, and where the court of law is misused by the strong authoritarian parliamentary party government for their motives, as well as to use the powers arbitrarily to ensure their government in power, the Supreme Court can perform the proactive role. Okay, so in this way, judicial activism plays a major role in ensuring the justice and also in upholding the constitution and protecting the supremacy of the constitution and also upholding the rule of law. Okay, right. Now we will understand the difference between judicial review and judicial activism, right? See, judicial activism and judicial review. See, judicial activism let me give the definition. So the concepts of judicial review and judicial activism are closely related to each other. Okay, closely related to each other. However, there is a difference between them. What is that difference? Judicial activism is inherent in judicial review, meaning judicial activism is the part of judicial review. Other way around, through the process of judicial review, the laws or the acts made by the government are examined. Okay. If the reasonability is considered, if the changes in the society is also considered while performing the judicial review, is called as judicial activism. Okay. Therefore, we can say that judicial activism is inherent in judicial review, which empowers the court to uphold the constitution and declare the laws and actions inconsistent with the constitution as void, right? And judicial activism is necessary for ensuring proper discharge of duties by the other organs. Okay? Do you have any doubt? Is it okay? Did you understand the meaning of judicial activism and judicial review? Right? So do you think that judicial activism is very important in order to ensure complete justice? Yes, okay, very good. Now, then what is the difference between judicial activism and judicial restraint? You know, this phrase speaks for itself. I think explanation is not needed for judicial restraint. See, judicial restraint means when judiciary confines itself to its own domain without stepping out its jurisdiction, it is called judicial restraint. In other words, when the judiciary is not actively participating in the changes in the society or not actively questioning the reasonability of the laws, then it is called as a judicial restraint. Am I clear? Yes. So, I will discuss about this judicial restraint and judicial overreach in the next video. Thank you very much.